Bill.
All right, nice to see everyone today. I just gave everyone a quick reminder to tune in to this morning's session. As always, we're going to record it, so we got a lot to cover today, so I'm just going to jump right in. Trent, looking sharp, sir. Very sharp. Anyone want to share any awesome news before we get started? Anyone? Heather's back. Ebony's back.
So
Heather Mueller's with us today.
I went to my friend's house yesterday for a walk, and she was like, "Oh, bring some of your vendors' letters, and we'll just hand it out to neighbors who are walking by." So I did that, and then she actually said that they might be moving. We'll see what happens. So I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, keep me in mind. Just kind of see how it goes." So we'll see.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's exactly how business happens, guys. And our job is just to say, hey, what's on your mind? What questions do you have? What's causing you to consider moving, right? You're digging for their motivation, you're digging for their timing, and you're letting them know that really it would be an honor to be involved, right? It's a huge decision, and to be allowed into the room when sellers are making these decisions and buyers are making these decisions, it's a privilege, guys, right? Let's not lose sight of that. Okay, I want to make a couple of comments, and I'm going to introduce someone to you. So as we know, I have been kind of screaming this from the rooftop for a long time, okay? The importance of viewing yourself as a business owner and being very careful with the ways that you spend your time and invest your time. We've also covered the fact that when a topic arises that needs to get taken care of, right? When a chore or a task rises and we have to deal with it, remember there's really only two ways to deal with it. Is that correct? Does anyone want to remind us what two ways those are? We got a good turnout today.
Time or money?
That's exactly right, Donna. That's exactly right. We can either use our time to deal with whatever we've got to deal with, or we can choose instead to use our money to deal with whatever we've got to deal with, okay? And as we know, there are pretty much, as we say in bold, there are 5 primary job responsibilities of the real estate agent. Okay, those responsibilities are lead generation, lead follow-up, going on appointments, negotiating, and practicing in role play, right? So as you're going about your day, we want to make sure that if you find yourself doing something that is not on that short list that I gave you, you need to understand a really important concept, is that at that moment, you're actually not playing the role of realtor. You're playing the role of some type of ancillary job that the realtor really needs to get done, but that's not their primary task. Does that make sense? So for example, printing up labels for a golden letter, or starting somebody on a smart plan, or maybe even doing some research to some degree, right? So you got to understand that at that moment you're switching through the day. Oh, I'm a realtor right now. Oh, I'm the realtor's assistant. Oh, I'm the realtor's bookkeeper. Oh, I'm the realtor's researcher, right? And all those jobs are you until you allow somebody else in to help. But understand that some of those jobs pay several $100s an hour, and some of those jobs do not pay that amount of money. Make sense? Okay, so as you know, and maybe you guys haven't like really put it together, but Candace and I are running our own businesses, which are the development of the PC program, right? And as we have new people that come into the group, and as the market shifts, and as we have different people that are raising suggestions and concerns, we are tweaking our program constantly to make sure that we are providing the best level of service to you, and that we are bringing ideas to the table and opportunities to the table, perhaps before you even realize you need them. right? And it's all, remember, in an effort to live by the mission of our group. And for those that haven't heard this in a while, I'm just going to take 5 seconds to read it to you. Our mission is to create a community of learning-based and purpose-driven leaders focused together on accelerating the trajectory of our businesses and the quality of our lives. Okay, using the powerful leverage of Keller Williams models, systems, and technology, we intend to create abundant lives for ourselves and for those we support. Okay, so that, I think about that couple sentences every single day, because not only do I have to, be the leader and to kind of set the vision and to bring in talented people to help me, but I also have to teach you guys how to do that, right? And make sure that you have a similar thought as you're building your business. And one of the things that we've kind of heard some whispers along the way, and I've kind of tried to figure out how we can make this happen, is we have decided to bring in it is optional, completely optional, but an in-house shared services coordinator. Okay, we may come up with a flashier title, Andrew, for you, but what we'd like to do is to offer you guys an opportunity to handle a lot of the administrative tasks, right? Everything from getting a listing ready and writing the remarks if necessary, and optimizing it in the websites, putting a listing in, handling all the compliance stuff, all the I've got a buyer, how do I deal with the pay at close or whatever, everything from contract to close. So we make certain that all deadlines are maintained, that you're compliant all the way, that all of the action steps that we have to take are done by somebody who loves doing them, right? And has set up awesome systems to create efficiencies so that that person can knock out the admin stuff if you're interested, and you go focus on finding your next client. Make sense? Okay, so I want to introduce to you guys Andrew Domnauer. Andrew and I have known each other for probably 6 or 7 years, maybe?
Yep, 6 years.
Yeah. And Andrew, I'll let you kind of go through your background a tiny bit, but let me throw a few things out. Andrew was the head administrative member of the Hardiman real estate team, which was at our office several years ago. He was absolutely involved in bringing that team to 100 plus units annually. And he is just one of the most brilliant guys I have ever been in the same room with. And as crazy as it sounds, this is a man that actually loves administrative work, right? So I'd like to welcome Andrew today. And my plan for today's session is for him to give you a little bit of background in his journey, and why he's chosen to do what he's chosen to do. And I want to help you guys understand. We're going to go through a couple of his packages and make sure that you know exactly what services are offered and what the expense for that would be, what the investment for that would be. And then we'll do some Q&A at the end. Is that fair? Okay. Now, as with every rollout, probably not every single topic is going to be addressed on the very first, moment. And as Andrew learns more about each of y'all's businesses that are interested in learning more about this partnership, there'll probably be some more topics that come up and say, oh my gosh, we have a need for this. And then most likely Andrew will say, okay, let me go figure out how I can make this work. And I'll bring a plan back to you and say, hey, I'll do this for you in this amount of time for this amount of money or something like that. Fair? All right, Andrew, you're the star of the show. You have sharing permissions and everything.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Yep, I'm Andrew Domnauer. Just a bit of my background is, I was born and raised in Johns Creek, Georgia, and I actually attended Georgia State University here in downtown Atlanta, where I studied sociology and was a real estate minor. I graduated there in 2016, but before graduating, I got my first, real office job at KW Roswell in 2015 with Tim Hardman as his executive assistant. I was the first person hired to his team. I think at the time we were closing maybe 10 to 15 houses a year, which was a good start. But yeah, I was the first person hired, and he really didn't have any systems in place. He doesn't have that kind of administrative mindset. So he had this like Excel checklist spreadsheet, and it really wasn't very good. And that's not just me saying that, that was our clients.
Guys, it was not good.
Yeah, like I know it's normal in Georgia for real estate agents to, attend closings with your clients. And Tim was afraid to show up there because literally everyone was so angry with him with kind of the messes that we had made. So definitely had a lot to learn there. And in that first year, we set this goal of creating a business that would generate 100 transactions closed per year. And it was Tim's responsibility as the real estate agent to kind of handle the money generating activities, the lead generation, the stuff that you guys are great at. And it was my responsibility to come up with all the systems that would support 100 transactions a year, as well as finding the talent to plug into those systems to support that goal. So kind of as years went on, I got my real estate license in 2016, been licensed for 5 years now, it's still active, and just kind of continued growing the business, doubling our volume every year, and was promoted to operations manager. And then in 2019, we actually did accomplish that goal of 100 transactions per year. So that was kind of a big career high for me to kind of get to see those systems succeed. Yes, thank you. To get to see those systems succeed and get to kind of have that big team accomplishment that we all got to share. So around that time, we did actually end up parting ways with Keller Williams and starting our own brokerage called Peachtree Property Residential. That's still up and going and doing well. And kind of over the past few months was starting to think about kind of what I want to do to continue growing both personally and professionally, and was kind of having a hard time figuring out what that looks like. I'd interviewed at several companies and wasn't really finding anything that would be like the logical next step. And I ended up connecting with a woman named Roseanne that used to be at KW Roswell. And she put me together with Bill, who mentioned there was this need for contracts to close services for his coaching clients. So that's just a bit of kind of what brings me to where I am today. I was definitely a bit intimidated setting up this business, getting started. But as I got into it deeper and deeper, I realized that I've already done this. I've built this before, and the systems are proven to be successful for another successful company. So I'm excited. I'm confident in what I'm offering, and kind of excited to get deeper into it. So before I go over all my services and pricing, Bill, was there anything else that you wanted me to touch on my background or experience?
No, thank you for asking. I think the biggest challenge that our agents are facing, not just our agents, but any agent, getting into the business and building this thing, is number one, they don't know what they don't know. And number two, they haven't yet figured out how to make it simpler, right? And more efficient. And oftentimes as we build our business, it gets messier and messier. And really the goal as you're building your business should be to make it more and more efficient and streamlined, right? And what we have found, and I've spoken with thousands of agents, and I've spoken with thousands of people building teams, and what we know is the people that are really great at being in the field, navigating the highs and the lows of a real estate transaction, and kind of dealing with the having a different day every day. They really don't like all the stuff that you have to deal with behind the scenes. And somebody like Andrew, who loves that stuff, right? And his challenge that he's, wants to conquer is making all that stuff simple and easy and manageable and clear, right? Andrew, if I told you, hey, I got a buyer that wants to go out and look at 10 homes on Saturday, you got a small talk with them all day long and, hang out with them, go to lunch with them, go to dinner with them, you'd be like, I quit. I'm not doing that.
It sounds terrible.
Right. So oftentimes when the more you love being a realtor, the less you love being an admin to a realtor. Right. And what we sometimes don't understand is that you're actually both right now. Right. And not only are you both, but you got a lot more jobs, even more so. Right. So we brought in Andrew to not only to serve as an example of somebody who's had massive success in the past, but somebody who is now, certainly exhibiting, in my opinion, Keller Williams culture through and through, which is how do we help our people, right? How do we help them have great lives, right? The word quality of life has been ringing through my mind for the last 10 and a half years. And so everything that we do as a productivity coaching group is designed to help you make small, little tiny 1%, if necessary, improvements in your life and in your quality of life and in your business daily. And that's exactly why Andrew and I have decided to partner here. Okay, just so you know, this is a voluntary program. There's no mandate that you pay for this or sign up for this. This is simply an opportunity for you to add a piece of leverage to your business without having to hire a $55,000 per year full-time admin and take care of their health insurance and all that kind of stuff. Okay, Andrew, take it away.
Awesome. Yeah. So kind of while he was on the topic of, paying people, a big thing here that I think is important to touch on is, I know I'm sure as new agents, y'all are getting all kinds of sales pitches on software and things that you need, and it's all expensive. I don't get paid until you get paid. So, nothing comes out of pocket until closing. So if you're working on a transaction and it ends up terminating or doesn't close, I don't get paid there either. So it's kind of almost like nothing to lose there. But yeah, I'll go ahead and jump in and kind of show you a bit of what my services and pricing look like. I did name my company the Piedmont Closing Company. I live in Midtown and I love it. I'm right by Piedmont Park, so I thought that name had some meaning to me. So I'm going to go ahead here and try to share my screen with you guys.
It should be good.
Let's see if I can maybe minimize that. All right, just want to make sure y'all can see my screen here.
Yep.
Awesome. So this is a web form that I put together. I call it my agent onboarding form. Again, Piedmont Closing Company. After this call, I'll send out an email with a link to this page. You're welcome to fill it out if you're comfortable. If not, save it, hold on to it. But what this is it obviously has like all your contact information, the information that I'll need access to during a transaction if we're working with a buyer or seller, kind of your MLS login and passwords, showing time, kind of all that in there. And you hit submit on the bottom. This will populate directly into my CRM and it's secure. I'm the only one that has access to it. The reason I wanted to include this is so that, as soon as you get, a buyer, seller that you want me to work with, I have all your information on file. You don't have to worry about sending that over to me in addition to kind of all the contract information. And then it's only that one time. So I'll have it for all future use. Again, I just really like to streamline everything and make it as easy for you and for me as well, so we can provide the best services here to you. And then so now we'll jump into my services and pricing. I just want to make sure, is this big enough? Can everyone read it?
Everyone good on that? Looks good to me.
Looks good to me.
Okay.
I'm on my phone, so I can't see it. But can you all send a copy maybe or post it in the announcements?
Yeah, of course. And
Yep.
This is recorded as always as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'll send out a PDF copy. And then once I do start picking up business, I do plan on investing in, a website that will have all this online accessible to you, or you can also place orders through there as well. So you don't even have to worry about sending me an email and doing the whole hey, Andrew, attaches this. You can just log in and submit that order. So we'll just jump into all the packages that I offer. And then at the end, I'll open up the floor for questions. So starting out with the listing packages, I offer 3 different levels, just because with listings, they tend to be more robust and require, a lot more legwork up front. So we'll start out here with this entry level package that I'm offering to you guys. By the way, all these packages that I offer, I'm offering to you guys at a discount. Since you are working with Bill Linkwald, it's a bit more expensive for people that are not part of his productivity coaching program. So with the entry-level service, it's $65. And that I will enter your listing into FMLS and Georgia MLS if you use both. I'll handle your public remarks, upload the listing photos, the property disclosures, and submit the documents to the office in command. So that pretty much will just get you set up for success for when the listing's kind of ready to go active. And then each package does include the package before it, if that makes sense. So for example, here, I'll go ahead and try to highlight it for you guys. So this basic package, which is $175, includes everything that the entry-level package offers up to submitting the documents to the office And I'll set up your showing time. I'll sync your lockbox in Supra. If that's the kind of lockbox that you're using. I'll handle all your price changes, the status changes. I'll submit your Form 117 and Form 118. If you don't know what those are, it's my job to make sure that you never really even need to know what those are, because I'll handle it for you.
Those are they're FMLS documents where you're telling FMLS that the home is pending and that the home is closed.
Correct. Yes. And as well as that, I'll offer a bit of kind of preliminary contract compliance review. So I'll save all the contracts in a folder and I'll review them kind of as we get a bit closer to closing. And I'll send you a list of things that I notice that are missing as far as like initials, maybe the commission instructions are missing. We need a copy of the earnest money, kind of whatever needs to be taken care of before you submit it to command for review or KW for review. And then the service that I offer that I think is kind of the most value to you is the full service, which is at $300. Again, not due until closing. There's several different ways to pay, which we can get into that kind of towards the end here. But with full service, that includes everything up to, go ahead and highlight it so y'all can see everything there. Yep. Up to that contract compliance review. And in addition to doing that preliminary review or that initial review, I'll create and submit the transaction to the MCA in command or whoever does the kind of compliance review there. I'll also proactively draft and request any missing contracts, obtain any signatures or initials from the co-brokers or our clients. When I send those, I'll make sure to, either text or call our client and just go, hey, we're missing an initial here on the lead-based paint agreement. Doesn't change any of the terms of the contract. It's nothing to worry about. It's just for compliance purposes. That makes people a bit more comfortable, when they see a document come through that they might not be familiar with. I'll handle submitting a DA request to the MCA for your pay at close so you can get your check at closing, and I'll submit your green sheet. In addition, another big value add that's a big difference between the basic and full service packages is I'll handle all your email communications. That's between the client, the lender, the closing attorney, and the co-broker through closing. And here's kind of some of those emails that will be included. Is I'll email the seller when the listing's activated in the MLS and let them know, hey, you're going to get showing requests through showing time. I recommend downloading the app. It'll make coordinating showings a breeze and kind of set some expectations for them. I'll send a seller congratulations email once we're pending. They have an offer accepted. It just says congratulations. Here's the next steps in the transaction that you can expect during the due diligence period. Again, congrats and good luck. And then I'll send an initial pending introduction email with all the binding contracts to the closing attorney, the lender, and the co-broker. That kind of includes, again, the contracts that we have so far, and let them know the next steps of the transaction. Let them know, hey, we need a copy of your earnest money by 5 p.m. this day. Just those next steps. Again, I'll also coordinate the access for the inspection. I'll handle scheduling the closing. I'll handle kind of the lender contingency email follow-ups and phone calls, just because I know everyone seems so busy these days with the market being like it is. So I'll also pick up the phone. I'm not afraid to do that like other millennials and have a conversation with them just to make sure we know what's going on and those contingencies are being met. I'll coordinate the final walkthrough and I'll send a closing reminder email to the sellers as well that just reminds them, hey, here's a day, time, and location of closing. If you haven't already, make sure to schedule for utilities to disconnect. Make sure you bring your driver's license to the closing and just kind of all those little reminders that they'll need to know. I'll also follow up with the seller to confirm completion of any special stipulations that were negotiated or repairs that were negotiated during due diligence, just to make sure those are being pushed through and see if they need any recommendations on kind of how to complete those, which I won't refer any vendors myself without your permission. I would check to make sure if you have a preferred vendor partner that you'd like me to connect them with. And then lastly, after closing, I'll turn in all your post-close documents into command and close out the transaction for you.
All right, can I interject one thing real fast?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'm trying to think of myself as a newer agent, having listened to this presentation for the last couple minutes, and there's two things that pop into my mind. One is, wow, I didn't do a lot of stuff that should have probably gotten done in the last deal I had. Or, wow, I didn't realize there were so many things that could be systematized and weren't even on my radar. And That's probably the biggest one. And then one thing that that was kind of alluded to, Andrew, I'm assuming this is part of it, is the everyone involved in the transaction, like let's say once the deal goes pending, and you'll talk about this on when we get to the buyers too, I'm sure, but Andrew would be sending out an email to all the parties basically saying, hey, this is Andrew Domnauer with Piedmont Closing Company. I'm working directly with Ryan to make sure that, you know, blah, 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 blah happens. So it puts you in it changes the what's the word I'm looking for? It changes the way that you and your business are perceived because you're partnering with somebody who's handling all this stuff. Does that make sense? Right? When somebody else involved in the transaction gets an email that says, hey, I'm Andrew, I'm working with Ryan on 123 Hill Street. They're like, wow, Ryan's got an assistant? I thought she just started 2 weeks ago. You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, and I'll give you guys all the credit. You know, anything, you know, I'll refer back to you guys and say, yeah, Ryan asked me to schedule this inspection for you, or Ryan told me to do this, and Ryan asked me to reach out. So you guys will get all the credit. It's my full-time job to make y'all look good. So.
All right, that's awesome. Man, that should be like your tagline or something.
Yeah. Cool. I'll write that down. All right, anything else before I kind of jump back into it?
I'm good.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
When you at the top of the list enter the information into MLS, is that both First and Georgia MLS?
Yep. Yeah. FMLS and Georgia MLS.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, for sure. And again, we'll open up the floor to more questions at the end. So if you have them, feel free to write them down and we'll be sure to answer them.
So
yeah.
Andrew, this is Candace. I just wanted to say a couple of things. One is that for all agents, when you have someone like Andrew on your side, you can create a team page in your pre-listing or your listing presentation, and you include Andrew and his bio as part of your team. It does lend credibility. It makes your business look much larger than it might actually be, but it just lends credibility. And then the other thing I would say is for dual career agents, we need to stay focused on, for all of us need to stay focused on lead gen. This kind of detail takes our attention away from lead gen. And this is how agents create that roller coaster of closing, no closing, closing, no closing, because they get bogged down in the doing of these things that take time and stop lead generating when they do get a listing. So those are the two comments that I had to say. So thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that up. And that does also kind of, open the door for you as well to share with your clients or prospective clients that, hey, it's my full-time job to make sure that I'm focusing on representing your best interest. I'm focusing on, making you the most money or saving you the most money in this transaction, that I don't want to spend time focusing, on the administrative side. And I've got this guy who's going to do a great job making sure that everything on that end is getting done so that I can do what I do best and make you the most money, which is really, important to people when they're buying or selling a house. So no, I'm glad you brought that up for sure. But jumping back into it, I do offer marketing a la carte here. I've got, a couple flyers and their pricing, and like 2 sets of brochures that I offer, as well as the pricing here. If you have any other types of marketing that you're interested in doing, maybe like, flyer or just like a business card, or I think I heard Bill mention earlier some, golden letters sound popular these days. I can look into, putting together an estimate for that. So please feel free to reach out if you have an idea that you want. And I can see if that's something I can take on and give you a quote for and, add to my list of services. So definitely.
Right. I mean, I probably should ask you this in private before I say it to everybody, but, it could be anything like, hey, there's this thing called a 36 touch. I don't know how to do it. Smart plans. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't want to, stop calling people and go spend a week figuring that out. Like literally, guys, Andrew probably already knows it because we talked about it like yesterday. Like this guy is insanely brilliant, right? He can figure, if he doesn't know it, he's going to figure it out. And he's
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. We should do this every morning.
Yeah. Nothing like a little ego boost, right?
Yeah, no, this is great. But all right, so wrapping it up, this should be quick. The buyer package, I only offer the one full service just because I believe that's what offers most value. Again, with listings, there's just more legwork up front With a buyer, someone like me as an administrator, I don't really step into the transaction until the buyer is under contract, until they've had an offer, accepted. So I think to get the most value to you guys would be just the full service, which I did reduce the price as well on this side, just because again, there's less legwork involved. But yeah, the price for that is $275. So that does include the email communications again with the client, lender, closing attorney, and co-broker through the closing. Here are the emails that it includes, like the buyer pending congratulations email, just saying congratulations on getting your offer accepted. Here's the next steps. Here's what your agent's going to work on, and here's what I'm working on right now. Then I'll send out a pending introduction email with the binding contracts to, again, the closing attorney, lender, and co-broker, with again the next steps and requesting closing to be scheduled and all that stuff that needs to happen. I'll follow up with the lender again with email and phone calls. I'll coordinate the final walkthrough and closing reminders. Coordinate the closing, coordinate the inspection. In addition, on the buyer side, because after you guys get the inspection report, you're obviously typically going to want to draft an amendment to address concerns. I've drafted hundreds of them for the agent I used to work for. I'm happy to provide a draft of the amendment to address concerns for you guys. I know particularly for a new agent, those can take a long time. Those inspection reports are long. I can usually bang those out pretty quick, and they're pretty good along lines with like what the client wants. And then obviously you're welcome to add or remove any items that are not important or relevant to your client. I will follow up with a listing agent to confirm special stipulations and any negotiated repairs are being completed or are on track to be completed. I'll order the home warranty if applicable. Before closing, I'll review the preliminary disclosure for accuracy and then make sure to share a copy with the buyer prior to closing. So that way they know what they're walking into at the closing table and they're not going to see the form and be surprised that something looks off. And then lastly, again, I'll offer that contract compliance review. I'll draft and request any missing contract signatures or initials from co-brokers, submit your DA request, and submit the green sheet before submitting that. And then again, if KW does kick the transaction back with any more revisions that they are requesting, I will happily take care of those for you as well. So then on the bottom here is my contact information. Again, we'll send that out kind of after the meeting, but just in case, it gets lost in your spam folder or you don't receive the email, it's here as well, just for you to take a look at. And kind of with that, I'll open the floor to any questions.
I got a quick question. Do you use both .loop and DocuSign, or do you have a platform that you're tied to as far as signatures?
Yeah, so I have used DocuSign a lot in the past. I know, depending on the agent, what's it called in the MLS right now? Is it RDocs?
Yeah.
But yeah, I've used RDocs. I've used all of them. So kind of if you have a preference that you like to use, I can log in and kind of accommodate any of those.
And I will say I've used a contract to close service before. It is the best money I have ever spent. Every penny was worth it.
Thank you, Greta.
I'm glad to hear that. I know some of them are better than others, and I have researched other companies. I'm glad you brought that up and tried to make mine comparable and competitive with the services that they offer. I think another value add that I offer to you guys is just my experience over the past 6 years. While I can't unfortunately control people, I guess it's good we can't control people, but that would make my job a bit easier, to be honest.
Yeah, you could charge a lot more if you could control people.
Right. But, I do have an ability to kind of be a little bit more proactive and can pick up quicker than maybe other administrators that, hey, like it seems like the lender might be dropping the ball or something seems like it's getting a bit off course here. And I can proactively reach out to you. I would never reach out to the client and share this first because they'll freak out. But I can reach out to you and let you know that, hey, like something seems off with the closing attorney. Like I haven't heard anything from them about the title search. Just want to share that with you because we might need to reset expectations or try to correct course, and I can make recommendations as well.
I have a question.
Sure.
Hey, Andrew, are you open to like if, so the day that I have 5 clients at one time, 5 contracts going at one time, are you open to having like a spreadsheet where I can go in and basically kind of just quickly check the spreadsheet, make sure this is done, just kind of following along with what you're doing? Do you offer anything like that instead of just hoping and praying Andrew's doing his job kind of thing?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Pretty much everything that I do is listed here, kind of all my services and pricing. And I'm glad you brought that up as well. In all my email communications, I'll make sure to either CC or BCC you guys so you can see what's going on throughout the transaction, be included. And then also your client will see that, hey, my agent CC'd on this, they know what's going on. I am happy though, if that'll make you feel more comfortable providing some kind of Excel sheet or kind of list just so you can see as well what we're working on.
Yeah, if anything, Liz, you're going to feel if I was to guess, you're probably going to experience the exact opposite of what you just said, which is he'll be the one saying, hey, this is done, this is done, this is done, this is next. And you're like, oh my gosh, thank you. Thank God he reminded me.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I can tell you, I've used 2 different closing companies and I've researched them all. And this is a no-brainer for me, Andrew. You do way more than they're doing. Including if you were to provide me with a spreadsheet or something like that, because that's how my brain works, and you're cheaper. So this is a no-brainer for me working with you.
Awesome.
And I love that. And I just want to say that years ago, I was in the same office, Roswell, and we had an in-house closing department, somebody like that, Andrew, who had put together a business, and everyone used them. And I can tell you that, oh my goodness, it was such a relief. And the other thing is, if you follow the MREA, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent model, we not having to spend the time career visioning somebody and having them already be vetted is just a huge time saving. So it's also a no-brainer for me. And I'm so excited, Andrew.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad to hear it. Hey, do you guys want me to unshare my screen so we can all see each other again, or do you want me to keep this pulled up?
You can unshare it, and then we'll certainly send out a copy to the group, at large. What other thoughts or questions do you guys have?
Quick question around green sheets. I know we don't use green sheets anymore. Is that, and I came in after green sheets. So that's actually like the compliance and command, correct?
Yeah, that's the commissions tab.
Okay, thank you.
The important one. The other thing I'm going to say is that I know I had this thinking when I was newer, and it's a mindset of lack rather than a mindset of abundance. And the thought of, oh my gosh, that $300 or that $175, I could do something with that. But when you think about the times, and I'm not trying to do a sales job here, I'm trying to give some perspective. But when you think about the time that you spend doing all of these things in order to get a transaction from start to finish, really what you're saying to yourself is, I'm going to give up $300 to earn maybe potentially $10,000. And so that's
I'm going to invest $300 in someone else so that I can use my wonderfully talented skill set to go find another family to help.
Thank you for interpreting and making that better. I had the thought in my head and it wasn't coming out quite the right way, but I do think that it is an investment, and it's a mindset of abundance to be able to invest money in doing something that will help push your business further, and to have a resource of someone like Andrew who does it so much better than most of us will be able to do.
Well, one thing that I got out of listening to Gary talk one time, and I've applied this to a lot of aspects in my life, is you don't have a business until you give every job away.
Right. Or at least you've given one job.
Right. Right. Well, his point in that, and the way he said it that way, and what I understood was, if you are the only product, you don't have a business that you could potentially sell. Hmm. And so if you continue to do a role within that, it's still like, once you build your team and do the different things. So having something like this is taking the steps towards creating that reality that you're not fully the product. You're creating a business that is a product.
Yeah, I like the way you said that. And just to clear up one or two things is you're not signing up, there's no upfront payment. You're not signing any type of commitment with Andrew that every file he would be the guy on. Each file you employ, or you could theoretically choose, hey, Andrew, I'm going to have you do this one, or hey, I don't need help on that one, or whatever. You're not committing to anything beyond if you engage his services, then you pay the bill when the closing happens.
One question I do have is, what if the closing doesn't happen? What if it gets down to the end and the closing doesn't happen and the work is partway done, so he has work invested? How does that function?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So, I don't get paid until you guys get paid. So I kind of have that skin in the game as well. That's kind of part of what also motivates me to be so proactive on your transactions, to make sure that they don't get off course to a point where there's no turning back and they have to terminate. Because again, I want that to close, because I don't get paid until you do. So yeah, to answer your question more directly, if it terminates and I've put in work to it, I don't get paid either. So it's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, the truth of the matter, number one, I think that's a great policy. But as long as the buyer still likes you, they'll probably come back to you at some point. And if you like Andrew will probably get the opportunity at that point. So again, it's just a mindset of abundance, right? It's just like, hey, there's lots and lots of people to help. I got lots and lots of people that help me do my work, and life is just more fun that way.
I have a question. Andrew, do you work on the weekends? For instance, if we have a listing going live on a Saturday, do you enter in and say we go on a listing appointment Friday afternoon and the listing goes live on Saturday? Do you work on the weekends? I know you have to have some days off.
Right. So right now I'm trying to keep my schedule, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Obviously, as things come up, if there's an emergency after hours, I'm happy to step in. What I've found though is that typically for my work, it involves working with, or communicating with lenders or closing attorneys, companies that do have set business hours. So there's typically not a whole lot that I can do after 5 anyways, but also that's kind of part of why I'm not pursuing like being a real estate agent, because I love structure and I love having just a set schedule and a routine. Because I know I could probably, maybe make a bit more money as a real estate agent, but to me, kind of that unset schedule and honestly the social aspect of it as well is kind of what keeps me from pursuing that.
Do you have an assistant as well?
I do not at the moment. Right now it's just me. I haven't closed any transactions through Piedmont Closing Company yet, so that is on the horizon though. And again, as I mentioned earlier, with my background in kind of building out Harbin real estate, is not only did I build the systems, but I recruited other administrators and trained them up to my level to where I'd be comfortable with them taking the lead on transactions. So when that time does come, which I have kind of written out once I get to a certain volume, I do plan on hiring at least one assistant and kind of getting them trained and up to speed. And again, I have experience doing it, so I'm pretty confident that they'll be successful as well.
Fantastic.
Okay. Who else has a thought or question?
I was just going to say, as a new agent, this is to me, this would be a no-brainer, just because I think that I've learned that even the little things that you do, especially for the first time, take 50 times longer than you expect them to, for one. And so you would waste a lot of time that you need to be then focused on that next deal or anything else out there, but also just all the little details that, like you said, you don't know what you don't know. And I would hate to miss something when I could have just spent a little money to get some help. I mean, you'd spend way more time in terms of value and money trying to figure all that out than you would just to pay someone to help you who knows what they're doing.
And I add to that, Ryan, because that's a really good perspective, is that when you're new and you have Andrew doing the work that he does, you'll be learning from a master. So you will learn how to do things, but you'll learn it correctly. And you'll learn all the steps that go into a transaction by being copied on things. So, I mean, I still learn from other agents when they submit contracts and they have a certain special step in there that I hadn't thought of. So it's just a really organic and wonderful way to learn.
Yep. Just
Well, and I was going to say, everyone in this group, we're all in this group because we're investing a little extra in trying to be better and be better agents. And so this is just a tiny bit more, but it's a huge help. So like, I don't, I wouldn't look at it as like, oh my gosh, I got to come up with $300. That doesn't seem like much in the grand scheme of things. I'm trying to make sure you keep a happy client. Like I'd be more worried about losing the client than I am about $300.
Right. And we haven't done, we should probably do this exercise, but we did an exercise in used to be part of the BOLD curriculum where you actually looked at a client, a prospective client or an active client, and that client is not, I don't want to say, we'll say valued at, right? You're not just going to get paid on the first transaction if you take care of them, right? So we did an exercise that says like the average purchaser, the first time purchaser, I think is like 28 or 29 in America right now. And then they move every 8 years, 8 to 9 years. So if they buy at, let's say 28, sell and buy at 36, sell and buy at, 42, sell and buy at 50, sell and buy at 58, sell and buy at 65. As you're helping them amass wealth, they're probably doing some investing. They're probably sending you some referrals. So it could be just the fact that a deadline was hit or that an expectation was exceeded that causes that client to become more and more valuable to your business over time, right? So it could be, hey, this client could be valued at 10 grand because I barely got him to the closing table and everyone's pissed. Or this client could be worth $1 million because they love me and they love my team and they send me opportunities of their friends all the time so they can have similar experiences, right? One other thing I want to mention is just so everyone's clear, Andrew is not exclusive to the PC group, but these prices are exclusive to the PC group, right? So we never even discussed exclusivity, but he will most likely be working for other agents, but unless they're in productivity coaching, they will not get this price. Anyone else? Is everyone just so excited?
I am just so excited. No, seriously, like I've used a transaction coordinator in the past, like you've been an agent for a while, but I'm looking to do more volume. So I joined this coaching group, but the transaction coordinator really makes the whole transaction smooth and so much easier. It almost feels like, I hate to say it this way, but like you're not working a lot on that part. So you can go and focus on, getting more deals, especially if you're trying to do high volume. So, I mean, I always have thought it was a great idea. It's absolutely a great idea.
Thank you. Couldn't agree more.
Off of you. So I'm glad that you guys are offering that to us.
Beautiful. Okay, I want to be respectful of everyone's time this morning. Let's do a quick summary. Andrew is going to be sending out a services list and price list. We'll probably have that in place, probably emailed out by the end of the day. He'll have his contact information on there. So if you have any specific questions for him that you might want to ask offline, you're more than welcome to reach out to him. And this basically starts right away, right? So if you want to engage his services, then my recommendation is, fill out the onboarding thing. Make sure he knows who you are. If there's certain things that you want specific to your business or your brand or something like that, just make sure you communicate that with Andrew. There's a little note section there, and you and him will get together and start to confirm exactly and finalize exactly how all these processes are going to work. And as far as payment, I'm sure we can handle this very easily, but what we'll probably end up doing, if this is okay with you, Andrew, is just having Lee cut you a check at closing, and it would be part of the DA or whatever. So you would never have to, ideally you wouldn't receive the money and then pay it out to him. That's just an unnecessary step. It would just be like a payment to him at closing if he was on the deal.
Yeah, whatever works best with KW, or if you guys, whatever preference you have. I also have set up QuickBooks, so I'm able to send an invoice directly to you. You could be on the couch watching Netflix, drinking wine, and you can pay my invoice, on the phone with a credit card, debit card. I think you can even link a bank account. So, whatever y'all works best for y'all, I'm open to.
Cool. All right. Any final words, anyone?
Andrew, looking forward to working with you.
Thank you. Yeah, looking forward to it.
All right, Andrew, I appreciate, Candace, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, I'll be calling you in a few minutes to create a flyer, please.
Sure. Yeah, I'm available.
All right, Andrew, this is, it's been a pleasure to know you over the last handful of years, and I'm glad we're finally able to partner on something like this. Just so you know, I was trying to debate if I wanted to say this or not, but as Andrew and I and Candace have kind of been figuring this out behind the scenes for a month or so. We were trying to figure out, hey, is this like a business opportunity for us? Like, could we collect more money and shift it to something else that could help the group? And what we decided to do is just, we're offering this to give you a great level of service at a inexpensive price, or a less price than you would get anywhere else if you were to pursue a similar service. And we just wanted to keep it nice and simple. So I have no financial interest in this. Candace has no financial interest in this. This is our group working with Andrew, and it's a win-win for everybody. We have the volume. We can help Andrew as he's building this for him and his family, and Andrew can help us, obviously, by all the things on that list. Cool.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.